Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Healing and Dealing podcast. Today, I'm so excited. I have Marissa Gehrt with us. She is co-founder of Peace Lily Financial Coaching. She is a dedicated spiritual financial coach with a strong foundation in accounting. With her unique blend of financial expertise and spiritual insight, she guides individuals on a transformative journey towards financial peace and alignment with their deeper purpose. Driven by her own spiritual awakening and a desire to integrate her knowledge of accounting with her spiritual beliefs, Marissa embarked on a new path as a spiritual financial coach. She recognized the profound impact that spirituality can have on one's relationship with money and saw an opportunity to help bridge the gap between their financial goals and their inner values. Marissa's ultimate goal as a financial coach is to empower individuals to cultivate a healthy relationship with money, unlock their financial potential, and create lives of abundance, purpose, and fulfillment. Through her unique combination of financial expertise and spiritual wisdom, she is committed to helping clients embark on a transformative journey towards financial peace and alignment within their true selves. Hi, Marissa.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing so good. I'm so excited to have this conversation with you today. I feel like it's something that is a part of healing journeys that is just not spoken about often. So not only, people coming from trauma or healing through past experiences that they've gone through, but just within their family system, even if you don't have trauma, really navigating money and looking at how you grew up around money, what your limiting beliefs are around money. It's just all so important and such a unique way of looking at healing. So thank you so much for being here and sharing your story with us. And let's just kind of jump right in. Let's tell the listeners, what brought you to this space. And I know you've been an accountant for a long time, but now you're also on a spiritual journey. So let's hear it.
Yeah, money obviously was in my life from a young age. We all grew up with different perspectives on money. I was very fortunate. I grew up with money. My dad worked very hard. My mom was a stay-at-home mom, and we had a beautiful house. We always had food. That was never seeming to be a problem.
Mm.
So we were taught a little bit about money, but it wasn't spoken about. It was like the unspoken word of the house that was never discussed. Dad handled the money, mom took care of the kids, bottom line. And I was very fortunate when I hit my teens. I had a great job. I was managing a restaurant very young and really bringing in a lot of money, but I didn't know what to do with it. So I was out buying, name brand jeans at $300 a pop and was like, I don't care. Like I don't have anything that I need the money for.
Right.
I had a car, I had a house, I didn't need anything. And it was all about what I wanted to do. And I went to beauty school. We paid cash for beauty school. And I just kind of was like, yeah, this is life. Like, it's easy. I don't see what
Yeah.
the problem is. And, then my parents separated, and I would hear my mom talk about money. And she was always scared and really freaking out. So that panic and that scarcity mindset really started in my late teens. So when I was around 18, 19 years old, that the money is not always going to be there.
Right.
But I had that on one side, and the other side was like, I have all this money. It doesn't matter. Like, I can bring in $2,000 in one night. It's fine. It's always going to be there. So I started my career doing hair, and I was determined that I was going to rent my own chair, and the clients were just going to come to me, and I was going to just be the best thing in the world, and it didn't matter, and the money was always going to be there. But a lot of money went into that. And quickly I dwindled away what I had in savings, and I started really living that paycheck to paycheck lifestyle for the first time ever. And it was hard. And all the words that were coming out of my mom's mouth were now inside my head. Like,
Right.
what am I going to do? What's going to happen? Where's this money going to come from? I can't buy this. I can't have this. I'm not worth this. And it really just like tore myself down. And so over the years in my young 20s, my finances really fluctuated. I would do really good for a while, and then I would do really terrible. And I went through a lot of changes, and I had my first son when I was 22 and realized I had no money to stay home.
Yeah.
Didn't know what to do. I became very reliant on my son's father. And I really realized how much I didn't like that feeling of like, I need to ask you if I need to get a cup of coffee. I need to
Right.
ask you if I can buy a bottle of nail polish. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't buy my son diapers. I couldn't buy his food. I had to ask somebody else to do it. And our relationship was rocky from the beginning. So it created a whole other like inset that
Yeah.
a lot of people have financial traumas from a very young age, where mine started older, which is still common, but not as common. Most of it's
Mm-hmm.
very embedded from childhood. You
Right.
know, really that like ages kind of like 5 to 11, they really absorb that type of information.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it was one of those things that for whatever reason, I knew inside, like, I've been here before. I can do it again. I can get out of this.
Mm-hmm.
I did. And I kept going through that. And then I had more kids and more kids. And here I am with four. And with all the kids, I ended up doing a really hard transition in work. And I actually went into accounting and really learned how to read finances, read the financial, like the statements, and do cash flow management, budgeting, things like that, and really incorporated that into my life. But there was still a really big chunk missing. And I ended up going through a costly custody battle and spent a lot of time living in hotels and having to eat out with four kids.
Wow.
And we turned to credit cards because I was on the road so much that I wasn't working. So the money was flying out way faster than it was coming in.
Mm-hmm.
A one income household, primarily as a family of six,
Yeah.
very difficult. And traveling, across states to live in hotels was just, we couldn't do anything. And it was this horrible weight that, seeing the credit card statement, knowing these bills were due, it was always just panic. And it was so dysregulating in my body. And it took a lot. I wasn't grasping, like, I needed to change the way I was looking at this.
Yeah.
I was just sitting in this ugly space of like, I have to work. I have to work. I can't do
Mm-hmm.
this. I'd be sitting in a hotel and I'd be so frustrated with my kids because I'm like, I have to work. I need to sit on this little tiny laptop and do work, and you need to sit over there quietly.
Yeah.
Our boys aren't quiet.
Yeah, especially in a tiny confined space, right?
Yeah.
I can only
There was no
imagine.
like go outside, run around. Like, it was scary. And I finally just stopped and I looked at it and was like, this is the decision that I'm making to give my family what they deserve.
Mm.
Like, this is worth it. The debt will go away.
Yeah.
This is temporary, but we're going to live the life that we deserve and the life we want to live. And I really had to work on changing that mindset.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was working one day and going through emails, and I had a email pop up from Dave Ramsey that was just like, hey, have you ever thought about being a financial coach? Like, come to this free program. And I was
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, okay, like an hour meeting and learn some more about like my finances and what I can do. And Dave Ramsey's a huge name. Like,
Yeah.
he has to know something.
Mm-hmm.
And so I did this like virtual meeting and listened to people's stories and listened to some of his coaches talk. And by the end of it, I was in tears.
Yeah.
I was like, this is where I'm supposed to be. I'm not supposed to be an accountant. I'm supposed to like help people with their money, not just
That's
tell them they're
beautiful.
screwing up their money.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. That's
and
beautiful.
it was really intense. And I called Laurel, who's my partner, and was on the phone with her and just crying. And I was like, I have to do this. I need to go through a financial coaching program. I want to do this,
Mm-hmm.
but I can't afford it right now.
Mm-hmm.
And she knew the whole situation going on with the kids and like my living situation back and forth. And she's like, you know what? Sign up, put it on my credit card. I'll pay for it.
Wow.
And instantly in my body, like, I know that was the universe being like, hey,
Mm-hmm.
we got you. Like,
Yeah. I
this is what you have to do.
those moments are incredible when someone just comes in and
Yeah.
you're
It's
just
just
like, wow.
like nothing. She was like, I got you. Here's the credit card. Like, big deal. Do the program.
Mm-hmm.
So I did this program and, it takes people a long time. I've got a binder of stuff that I printed. I typed out notes. I think I printed it's like 45-page document of all the notes that I took during the program.
Wow.
Completed my certification in a few weeks and just was like, I'm not done.
Mm-hmm.
I
You still
want
had that
this.
pull. Something
There's
was pulling
something
you.
missing. Yeah. And, Dave Ramsey has a lot of great information, but it didn't align with my values.
Mm-hmm.
So I was able to take that, incorporate a little bit from, everything in the accounting firm, doing that for years, but there was still something more that needed to happen. And I really just started like stepping outside and sitting outside and like, what is missing here? Why does it not feel good right now? Like,
Yeah.
I know this is where I have to be. And I talked to a few people that I knew, and it all just kind of fell in my lap to go through this somatic coaching program. And as that started, I realized that my strong beliefs were not that you can get a quick fix on fixing your finances. I don't believe
Mm-hmm.
that you should sell your car. I don't believe you need to sell all your furniture in your house to pay off your debt.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that you need to heal inside to be able to heal your entire finances. The
Yes.
mind and the body have so much to do with what we bring in on the outside.
Yes. So well
So
spoken.
yeah, just learning to really incorporate that and incorporating so many different techniques through the somatic coaching and really just bringing it all together has been such a beautiful process, not only for myself, but for the people that I've got to share that with. And,
Mm-hmm.
that's where we are, just really keep helping people heal from the inside out and really live
Yeah.
that life of prosperity.
Yeah, and just so everyone's aware, Marissa and I are both in the Quantum Ripple Effect Institute program, and so we're almost done. We're, I think, like just 2 weeks away from getting our certification. So we have gone through the last 6 months together, which has been really awesome. We've had in-person events where we've got to meet, which was
Yes.
great. And as soon as I met you, I connected. Like I knew we had a connection that could grow for sure. And we started talking about money, and I was sharing with her, my past traumas around money and how from a really young age, it was just there's not enough. We can't pay the bills. And my mom was very open about talking about how broke she was all the time in front of me. And then there were things that would happen, like lights would be shut off, or we wouldn't have a car for a long period of time, or, car would break down and we can't fix it because we don't have the money, or, just like growing up, all these experiences happen. You're like, there's not enough. There's not enough. I'll never have money. I'll never have money. I'll always be poor. So these limiting beliefs were always inside of me. And it wasn't until just recently, um, I kind of always knew. The one thing I did learn though is that everything always works out. So even when you're broke, you have 20 bucks to your name, or say your mom had no money, for us it always worked out. There was always, when there's a will, there's a way. And that really carried on into my adulthood. So my husband grew up the same way. And so we're always like, all right, like, years ago when I wasn't working and we were a single income family, it was like we have no money. Like, what are we gonna do? And we would always just tell each other it's gonna work out. Our moms did it, we can do it, and um, we just trusted the universe. And for some reason, it would always work out. Something would happen. Money would come in from somewhere, or some we were able to make payments on something that we were super worried about. So. Um, I love that you have this kind of dichotomy belief of you grew up with money not being an issue, and there was an abundance of it. You didn't have to worry about paying bills. And then, as you grew older, you started hearing these things from your parents or from your mom especially, and how money was scarce in her life at that time. So you have this beautiful knowledge on both sides, which I think is why you're so great at serving your clients and connecting with them, because you can understand both perspectives. What would you say are like some of the main things that you did to work on your money mindset and like change the way you thought about money?
Think a bit of it, was really just stop panicking,
Mm.
which is so hard. Like
Mhm.
anybody can say that, but actually doing it, and because it's not about only what comes out of our mouth, it's what we're saying to ourselves and our subconscious brains.
Yes.
And a lot of people, and even I grew up with money, but we
Mhm.
didn't consider ourselves rich people. And
Yeah.
we weren't rich. We were well off, but we were not rich. So even as a kid, I'd be like, oh, mom, I want this stupid balloon, right? Like, I don't know. And she's like,
Mhm.
if it was your money, would you spend it?
Mm.
No, obviously you don't need it. Like, that's for people that have money to throw away. And I was like,
Oh.
oh, okay. Like, I don't get that. And then I had very good friends that grew up in very hard households.
Mhm.
And one of my best friends, she grew up in a foster care home. And it was a constant, like, we're not rich, money doesn't grow on trees.
Yeah.
I would hear her parents say stuff like that. And I was like, get it. Like, I no shit, it doesn't grow on trees, but it's made out of trees.
Yeah.
Teenage girl here. I was like, no, you're dumb. But once I went through the struggles on my own and realized, like, as a kid, my family used money to show our worth,
Mm.
I realized that money isn't your worth. It doesn't matter if you have money or you don't have money, it matters who you are.
Yeah.
And I stopped needing to show people that I could live this life. I stopped needing to need to prove myself,
Mhm.
and it stepped away from some of that embedded, like, you only can do it if you already have the money.
Mhm.
And a lot of it was just reframing and then sitting to see how it made me feel. Like,
Yeah.
you go to the grocery store and you can buy this $10 pack of ramen. You
Mhm.
can buy this, what, $4 pack of ramen that has 20 more in it.
Mhm.
Which one feels better to buy? And
I love
where do
that.
I feel that? And like for me, I feel everything in my sacral, my stomach, and like
Yeah, me too.
solar plexus. So it's like if I'm in the grocery store and I grab something and my stomach is like, I'm going to put it back because it doesn't feel good. And that's okay also to realize that not everything feels good. And sometimes, something recently Laurel and I were discussing was during the summer here, I have an electric house. I live in Arizona.
Mhm.
My electric bill skyrockets. That AC is running. I go from about $150 a month to close to 300. It
Mhm.
does not feel good to pay $300 for electricity.
Right.
But then I get to see my kids and they're happy and they're playing. And I had to really stop and think, like, it may not feel good to put the money out, and that's okay to know that, and just don't stay there. But you
Okay.
also have to look at it as I have a house that has air
Mhm.
conditioning.
Yeah,
My
for
kids are
sure.
safe. They're cold. They, not cold, but they're cool. Like, we have cool water. There's food in this house. Like, and really being grateful that I had the ability to pay that bill.
Yeah, 100%. I
It's,
that it's all about reframing your language. I love
yeah.
that
And
because people sometimes get caught up in just like, "Oh my gosh, the bills," but look, like you're saying, look at this beautiful house that you have that your kids are in, that they're safe in, and they don't have to sweat and overheat, you know?
yeah,
And you have the luxury, I would call it, of, having AC and being able to pay that bill.
yeah. And
Love
that
that.
was a big thing for us, was really learning. And, you drive to the other side of town and there's tents on the side of the road.
Mm.
It's
Yeah.
115 degrees outside.
Wow.
Like, can you imagine living permanently in the tent?
I
It's one thing
cannot.
about camp, but
Mhm.
that's can be miserable too. But like, to live and to need to find water in the desert,
Yeah.
like, and we just really learned, like, it doesn't always feel good, and that's okay.
Mhm.
And you can't just shove that feeling away, because that's not healthy either. Like, you need to sit with that feeling and be like, okay, It's okay to feel like this, but now let's remember why we're here. And I have
Yeah.
this, and I get to do this, and I get to provide this. And even if you
Mhm.
don't have kids, just doing it for yourself,
Yeah.
for your partner, for your pet, it doesn't matter. We just have to reframe that brain of like, sometimes it's shitty, but I still have the opportunity to have
Mhm. Yeah, it's funny because I handle paying all the bills at our house, and it even though I hate the money going out, it feels good.
it. Mm-hmm.
Like, even if, I'm left with not a lot, I'm like, "Yes, all my bills are paid." I'm finally at that place in my life where I don't have to stress about it. I can pay my bills and not have this, like, really stressed out feeling afterwards, where's the next money, or just, like, waiting for that paycheck to come back, like, I can make it now to the next paycheck, so it just
That's
feels so
beautiful.
much better, it took us a long time to get to that place, but, I totally get what you're saying about how you have to sit with it and feel it in your body, and because I feel like for so long, it was more of, like, a fight or flight mode, protection mode with money, and there was never any calming of the nervous system around money. It was always just immediate cortisol stress. And now it's more, and it's funny because the more calm I am about money, the more money comes in.
Yes. Because you're
So
allowing it. When
that's
you
interesting.
are panicking and you are freaking out over, say, $200. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And $200 doesn't go super far in this world anymore, but it's
Right.
still a good amount of money. And when we're panicking about $200 and not knowing what to do, why would somebody walk in and say, okay, so what are you going to do with $2,000?
That's so true.
You know, why should I give you more to panic about?
Mm-hmm.
If this amount is so scary, this amount has to be more scary. So
Yeah.
we have to allow ourselves to just be like, okay, I got this and it's going to work. And, I'll put a little bit on this bill and a little bit on that bill this month. And then
Mm-hmm.
next month I'll be able to pay it. And it's going to happen. And really just driving that in and letting our body feel that it is going to happen. Because
Mm-hmm.
continue to tell your body it's not going to, it never will.
Right. You have to believe it's going to happen and feel like you're already there. Your bills are already paid and it feels amazing, and yeah, it's manifesting in some sense, So,
Yeah.
I'm curious, you said something about your worth and how a lot of people tie it to how much money they have. And I feel like my husband is kind of like that. He's a little more I don't know, like, I don't wanna say keeping up with the Joneses type, but
Yeah.
he definitely cares about what we look like from the outside, and I'm really not like that. I'm like, "I don't give a shit," like,
Yeah.
what people think, like, I'm not one that does any name brand clothes, probably because I never could afford it before, so now it's like, I really don't care. Excuse me, but, for him, something in his childhood ties his worth to the money that he has, or, like, the car that he drives, the house that he lives in, and I just think that's interesting, and especially with social media, everyone is comparing all the time, and that's gotta be so hard to deal with when you do have a scarcity mindset.
Yeah.
So how, like, can you think of a way that to really, um like, what's a better way to look at your worth? Like you said, the person that you are, but for someone who really cares about materialistic things, is what would you tell that person if that's what they tied their worth to?
I mean, I would kind of ask them, so if it was like clothes, right? You can buy a flannel at Walmart,
Mhm.
you can buy a Dixon, you can buy a Pendleton.
Mhm.
Which one feels the best? And does it matter? Like if you didn't have the tags on, if you couldn't see the brand on any flannel, which one feels good to put on? Can you tell the
Wow.
difference?
I love that.
You
I've
know,
never
can
I've never thought of it that way.
Yeah, can you actually tell the difference between them? And yeah, sometimes you can. And I know that
Yeah.
I have every type of flannel there is. And so I know, yeah, like my Pendletons, they're real wool and they're warm and what,
Mhm.
but my favorite flannel, my husband bought it for him at Walmart for $10. why do I need to spend 70? And does it feel good to spend $70 to have the little label on it that says Dixon
Right.
or whatever brand? Like, does that label matter? What looks good on you? What makes you feel good?
I love
And
that.
really just looking at that, I buy my clothes and, things wherever. Like, I don't care. Personally, my favorite, like, champagne per se is
Mhm.
$8.
Yeah.
And that just,
When
it
I
is.
used to drink, I didn't discriminate. I would drink cheap stuff too.
Yeah. And it just like, if I were to close my
Excuse
eyes and
me.
just sit with it, how does it feel? Does it feel any different? No.
Yeah. I feel like for my husband it does. I think he really
Yeah.
does get a feeling in his body. And
Yeah.
I don't know, I know in the Mexican culture, he's told me like they tend to kind of like to show off and be flashy, and he said it's been embedded in him since he was young, you know. You don't want to be embarrassed in front of people, the neighbors how they look at you, your friends how they look at you. So,
And
I,
I've been in that situation before. I dated and lived with a lot of Hispanic people.
mhm.
And I remember the big parties. They lived on a farm and we had huge
Mhm.
parties in the backyard, and everybody shows up in their fancy alligator boots and their good hat,
Yes.
fancy belts and all this shit. And it's great and it's fun. But sometimes you have to sit and think about the little kid inside you, whether
Yeah.
it's that little girl, that little boy. How does that child feel? What made them feel that way?
Mhm.
And maybe all that little kid inside of us needs is to know, like, it's okay. You can
Right.
wear whatever and it doesn't matter. Like, and really, and it's real hard to kind of step away from that judgment. But when you stop judging other people,
Mhm.
stop caring what people are judging you for.
Yeah.
And
100%.
that's hard. We're raised in a world of judgment.
Yeah.
Are judged from the second you come out of the womb. Your mom's
Mhm.
judged from the second she had you.
Mhm.
It just we're judged on everything. And I do think social media has made this worse. I
Yeah.
struggle a lot with social media because I don't want my kids on it. But also, like, I don't want my kids to be the weird kids that like can't
Right.
do anything.
Yep.
Um, but I think really learning that and working with children and then working with ourselves too, because sometimes working with the kids on, like, it's okay to not wear the name brand. It's okay to not have the biggest, fanciest car. Like, if
Yeah.
you get from point A to point B, doesn't matter how you did it, you
Mhm.
did it. And then celebrate that you did it.
Yeah.
Like,
Exactly.
and I think sometimes I find some of my healing has come from breaking those patterns with my kids
Yep.
and being able to sit with them and, like, talking to them and being like, hey, like, you don't do this because not everybody lives the way we do. And that's okay. Some people have a much more beautiful life and some people have a much harder life.
Yeah. That
And
go ahead. Sorry.
I think it just doing that with my kids made an impact on me.
Mhm.
And it allowed me to see, like, when I was a kid, like, everybody around us was like us. Maybe they weren't
Right.
the same color as us, but we all lived a similar life.
Mhm.
And exposing ourselves to different situations,
Yeah.
I think, is really important because we can see and feel how other people live
Yeah.
or feel, and
Yeah.
allowing yourself to kind of sit with their feelings a little bit and not take them in. You don't want to absorb other people's traumas and things like
Mhm.
that, but being open to knowing that feeling
Yeah.
can help. Cultural is hard and there's a lot of work and there's a lot of different things that you can do to work through those generational items and
Mhm.
um and just really learning to accept yourself wholeheartedly.
Yes.
And you did it. You got from A to B.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's interesting because our older boys who are 21, 19, and 16, they've really seen our transformation when it comes to money. And, when they were little, we lived in when me and Henry first moved in together, we had 5 kids. Like we adopted his niece and nephew, and we were in this little 3 bedroom, and my niece had to have her own room. And so we had 4 boys in one room, and like the bunk beds were like touching, and we talk about that sometimes because we're just in such a different place now. And, I had like a 1995 Honda Civic at the time, and, was serving tables and in college. And now, I just bought my first brand new car, a few months ago. So the
That's
older ones are always like, it's not fair. The younger ones, like, they get this awesome life because you guys finally have your careers and, nice cars. And I'm always telling them, but it built character in you. Like, you understand now, what it's like to struggle a little bit, and now you can see with hard work and believing that, you're going to make it and you're going to make something of yourself. That's what me and your dad did. And, now you see what we have. We're not well off by any means. We're making it. We have a nice house. We're supporting our kids and our family and chasing our dreams, but we still want to go much higher, and we still have big dreams to keep going. So
and
I'm
that's beautiful. Always
trying
have
to,
the dreams,
yeah.
but also remember, like, your life right now is somebody's dream life.
Oh my gosh, Marissa, I literally thought of that the other day. I swear,
Yeah.
you know what I was thinking? Um, because I always practice gratitude, and it's even, when I'm meditating in the morning, I'm just so thankful for this carpet beneath me and these walls surrounding me and this roof, and I'll try to get really specific on those small things. And when I'm driving to work, it's like, oh, I'm so thankful I was able to buy this car and it gets me safely from point A to point B. And I thought back to when I was just in such a terrible place and thought, oh, I'm never going to have money to get a car. And I just, just thinking of like this version of myself that I always wanted to be. And I had that thought. I was like, I'm there. Like, I'm actually what I was dreaming to be
Yeah.
when, 10 years ago. And even like the littlest things, like being a mom who gets up and gets ready in the morning and, gets her kids off to school. I used to dream about doing that, right? I don't know why. It was just one of my like things that thought once I do this, I'm like a successful person, one of these beliefs inside my head. And I have to stop myself sometimes because I'm like, all right, I'm doing that. I am where I wished I was years ago, and
Yeah.
really embrace that moment and like really enjoy it and embody it.
Um,
So that's great advice.
It's, I think again, it comes back to that reframing.
It
It's just,
does.
if you're always chasing the next thing, like, you're almost going back to that, like, I'm not worthy for this, but you
Right.
are. And as long as you're pushing, like, you can always want more.
Mm-hmm.
Make you greedy. It doesn't make you a bad person. The
Right.
sky's the limit. You can have anything you want, and the universe has it to give to you.
Yes.
But sometimes we do have to stop and look, like, where did we come from? And
Mm.
maybe you've always done great. Some people are always going to have a really pretty path. So maybe it's stopping and looking at, like, you know, these people from my life or this,
Mm.
and
Yeah.
really learning to be grateful, because you take things for granted. You think, like I had hand surgery and I couldn't button my own pants.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot how nice it is to be able to
Right.
button my own pants, like those little things, and really living a life of being grateful for all of the small stuff.
Yeah.
All the small stuff is worth it. And,
Yeah.
it really does make a difference. And celebrating all of the little things that you do along the way is so important. And it's just, it opens you up for more.
Yeah. It's, I love what you said that even if you did grow up with money, you really didn't have any, issues or these big negative beliefs around it, to look outside of yourself. And that's why sometimes I'll take my 7-year-old, like, or if we're driving and people are intense on the street, and I'm like, look, this is how they live. And really trying to show her that perspective, and make her grateful and not entitled, right? Because like this generation of kids that we're raising, like, we're all trying to break the cycle and provide and be like these, awakened parents, right? But in the midst, we're trying to teach them also, not to be entitled and to be grateful for what you have. So it's like this balance, right?
It
And
is.
having your kids experience other cultures, and other, socioeconomic environments, putting them there. It's even for my oldest, we sent him to Cathedral Catholic, which is a pretty rich high school in our area. It might be the richest one, right? So our son went there. He's um, Black and Mexican and white, so he was the minority for sure. He was around a bunch of white kids that were very, very rich, driving like $100,000 cars to school. And he was able to acclimate himself in there and make friends with everyone. And it just gave him this whole new perspective that, wow, look at all these kids, like their parents are these huge business owners, or their house is like a mansion and it has a movie theater, and his whole world opened up that all of this is possible. So I
Yeah,
think it just takes those experiences of seeing more and seeing less to really understand the spectrum and where you fall.
absolutely. And I think that's where it is so important to talk to your kids.
Right.
There's levels of conversation that like we don't want to terrify our kids.
Yeah.
We don't want to give them any of our traumas or any of our experiences. They do have to do it on their own,
Mm,
but making sure that we're open and, okay, maybe we can't afford to have pizza night tonight, but so we don't be like, oh no, we can't, that's not for us. We can't do that. Like pizza's
right.
too expensive. It's just like, you know what? Tonight we're going to do this, but soon, like what we need to do is like save some money
Yes.
and we'll save for that pizza night. And we talk
Right.
about savings. We talk about, saving for what we want, even if it is something so minor. And
Mm-hmm.
then talking about like that toy, right? Toys are so expensive.
Yeah. And they
And
play with
then,
them for like 2 hours and then they don't
yeah,
care about them anymore. You're
and they
like,
don't care. And, so with my kids, like what I do, both my boys, actually my older boys, I have almost 7. He'll be 7 in 2 weeks.
mm-hmm.
I have a 10-year-old. They both have their own debit card. And it's
Awesome.
like a little kid's card, it's all set for children. And with that, we have savings accounts set up on those. And they have a spending limit. And I don't give my kids money. If they want money, they've got to do a little work for it.
Okay.
And not that I want them to think like without extreme hard work, you can't
Mm-hmm.
have anything. No, but you got to have a little work ethic.
Mm-hmm.
Helping me with the twin boys, the little ones, or cleaning up some dog poop or
Mm-hmm.
starting a load of laundry. Like, all right, I'll give you a couple bucks here and there. And out of what you've earned, we're going to put part of that in savings and part of it can stay in a spending account.
Wow. So 10 and 7, and you're teaching them already. That's so cool. I got to start
Yeah.
this. I got to get on the ball.
Right? Oh my gosh, I love it. Like we use a company called Greenlight. I have
Okay, I've heard of
control
that.
over everything. Yeah, it's really great. And what's cool about it too is like when you have friends and you talk about it, like if you have an account and your friend doesn't, you send them a code,
Mm-hmm.
sign up with that code, and you both get money for your kids.
That's cool. So
It's like
when your kids earn it, do you just transfer it to
so
them?
yeah, I have it set up so you have your parent account that you can keep funded. So say you wanted to know that like you're willing to give between all the kids $100 in a month,
Mm-hmm.
you can move money into your parent spending account there, or you can directly transfer it from your checking account or whatever account you
That's
have
cool.
linked. But so what I do is when we go out and we're at, a store or something and they really want the little toy, it's like, I'm not willing to spend my money on it. I know that you're going to get it home and it's going to be super great. And then it's going to be broken or it's going
Mm-hmm.
to be forgotten or it's going to be whatever. So if you really want it, you're going to pay for it with your money.
Mm-hmm.
And I give them the option. Do you really want this? And if
That
you do,
makes them really think,
it
like, do
does.
I want this? Because if mom's buying it, it's like, yeah, I'll take whatever I can get. But if I'm spending
Absolutely.
my money, that's a whole nother story. My daughter's same, she had like $50 for 6 months, and I was
Mm-hmm.
trying the same thing and she wouldn't spend it on anything. I'm like, all right, well, I guess you didn't really want those
Yeah.
items.
And it really teaches you something. My brother and I did this a little bit when we were younger. My dad, now they gave us way more money than we needed to,
Yeah.
but there was food in the house. Mom and dad bought all the clothes for school. This was when we were in our teens.
Mm-hmm.
But whatever food was in the house was free to us. our school items, mom and dad paid for it. Necessities, mom and dad paid for.
Yeah.
But, if we went to the grocery store with mom or dad and they were buying their groceries and I wanted this fancy ramen or I wanted this
Mm-hmm.
candy bar, it was not going on the belt with the groceries for the family. It was,
Okay.
you want that, you're paying for that with your money because that's a specialty item that's not necessary. It is,
Yeah.
don't need it. So now it's your choice. Do you want to spend your hard-earned money or not? And
Okay.
for me, it taught me a lot of the difference between wants and needs.
Yes. So important to teach kids, especially. It
And
sounds like boundaries, setting
yes,
boundaries with your family when
yeah.
it comes to this is, I'm realizing right now my boundaries are not good when it comes to this because I do tend to buy my little ones too much.
Hmm.
And even when Blue has money, I'll be like, "It's okay, save your money, I'll buy it," you know? And I'm not teaching her good skills by doing that. So I have some repairing to do when it comes to my language. I've been trying to change my language too. Like instead of we can't afford that, let's save and maybe we'll get it another day. We're just not going to get it today. So yeah, my all growing up, my language was just negative around money.
Yeah. And
So
I do think that's very common, even for
yeah.
people that did grow up with money.
Mm-hmm.
Like, no, we don't, no, like not today. And it wasn't ever a conversation. It was just like, no, we're not going to get that today, or no,
Yeah.
we don't have it.
Mm-hmm.
But just kind of really like, and not, you don't even ever have to be like, oh, we have to save for this either. Just the idea of let's think about it.
Okay.
If we still want this in a week,
I
then
like
let's
that.
readdress it.
Yeah.
Because most of the time, the Pokemon cards, are they going to remember in
Oh my
3 days if
gosh.
they
Those
ask?
things cost me so much money. And
So
she doesn't
much.
even care about them anymore.
They're all over our house. My twins
Yeah.
cards when given the opportunity, but we go to the store, my son's going to ask for them no matter what.
You know what? A perfect example of this is my daughter's birthday's coming up, and
Mhm.
I bought her an Oculus Rift like 2 years ago for Christmas, and she never used it, so I took it back. And now she's like, I want an Oculus Rift. I'm older and I'll like it. And she every day that's what she wanted. And they're like $500, like
Yeah.
this is not a cheap present for an 8-year-old. And I was thinking about it, maybe we'll split it with my mom or something. And then yesterday she's like, I don't really want the Oculus Rift anymore. Like, what if I would have already bought it, So that put waiting and thinking about it is effective because especially in their minds, in a week, they're not going to give a shit about it.
They're developing so fast and so much is changing and what's
Right.
cool and what's not cool. And even just when it comes to like doing activities, both my boys did jujitsu for a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
Then we moved and they're like, we don't want anything to do with jujitsu. We want to do Boy Scouts.
Oh.
Cool. Now we're doing Boy Scouts. Very
Yeah.
different.
Yeah.
My middle boy, he loves Boy Scouts. He's on a little trip with them right now. My oldest
Mm-hmm.
lasted like 6 months and he's like, this sucks. Like, I just wanted to
Yeah.
fire. And I was like, cool. We have 3 fire pits in our backyard.
I just wanted to start a fire. That's
Yeah.
funny.
And like, if you wanted to learn how to build your own fire, then you need to verbalize that. Let's talk. Let's open our
Yeah.
mouths and discuss that because there's literally 3 fire pits in my backyard
Mm-hmm.
and learn to build a fire together.
Yeah.
But instead, you wanted me to pay a bunch of money,
Mm-hmm.
put you in this program and buy the uniform and do all
Yeah.
the things. And now we're to a point where it's like, oh, I think we want to go back to jujitsu.
Oh my goodness. I know.
I'm
They're
all
so
about,
back and forth.
but it's like, it's like, okay, but do you really want to?
Yeah.
Didn't take them last time when they asked to do it. We didn't take them that week. And then like 2 weeks later, I was like, oh, hey, why don't we go check out this new studio?
Mm-hmm.
We haven't been to a studio since we've been here in town or the dojo. And they were like, oh, we don't want to go.
Oh my gosh.
So I'm not paying to put you in any program right now.
Right. You're like, we're taking a break. I have
Yeah,
a
but it's like,
question.
yeah.
So when it comes to sports and,
Mhm.
paying for these things for our kids, do you think it's important for them to know? Like, say for my daughter, for example, my husband bought 5 sessions with her jujitsu. Are they called coaches or? trainers. I don't
Yeah.
know what they're called, but jujitsu coach, right?
Yeah.
And Blue doesn't want to go, and we're like, we paid $150 for this. We want you. She's like, she doesn't understand that the money, like how much it costs for the
Yeah.
time, you know? And it's like, do you actually like explain to that to them? But I don't want to guilt trip her either.
Right. And I think that's really hard. And I do discuss that with my children of because they know, like we talk, my boys will be like, Mom, why do you have to work right now?
Yeah,
Well, I need
same.
to work so that I can provide for you, and this is how I'm providing for you.
Yeah,
And we discuss that. And of course, it's not like, well, if I didn't work 50 hours this week, I can't buy groceries. Like, I would never say that to them, but just letting
scare
them know,
them.
like, everybody's time is worth something.
Right.
And so if I say was coming to your daughter's birthday party, right? And I bought her, I don't know what minimum wage is right now, but let's say $20, right?
Mm-hmm.
$20 an hour. And I bought her something that was $20. That's an hour of my life that I spent to work for her.
I've seriously never thought of it like that. That's great.
And so that's something that I do with my kids that like when they're being a little ungrateful with things, it's like, okay, well, it took me this many hours to get you this. That
Yeah,
$500 gift, how many hours did you work to make the money?
right.
And because you don't want to guilt trip them, because that creates a whole other line. You know, you
Yeah,
don't want to make them feel like they have to do it because we also don't want to force our children to do things.
right.
Kind of letting them know, like, when we talk about it, this is what you really want. Are you sure?
Mm-hmm.
Because this is this amount of money, and
Mm-hmm.
this amount of money could go to things like whatever, you know,
Yeah.
letting them know the differences.
Mm-hmm.
And then also just letting them kind of understand, because especially with kids, you know, birthday parties, you get little gifts from some friends and you get big gifts from other friends.
Right.
And kids don't seem to understand, and they're just kind of like, oh, this shitty gift,
Yeah.
whatever. Like, this guy is my real friend.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, well, no, because their family may not be in the same financial space that this family is, or
Yeah.
we are, or whatever, but they spent their hard-earned time and money
Yes.
to get you this little something. Like, we got to be grateful for all of that, because no matter what, it took time for them to do anything for you. And sometimes
Mm-hmm.
you don't get anything, but we have to be grateful the fact that they showed up, because
Yeah,
they're still taking their time to spend with you. And time
exactly.
is our money.
I'm kind of finding that there's opportunity to have these conversations every day with your kids.
Yeah, literally every single thing could turn into a financial conversation. Like,
Yeah, because
it's silly.
subconsciously, I feel like we
But
say things that we don't realize about money just all throughout the day. But if you're
Mhm.
really being mindful and paying attention to what comes out of your mouth, to especially to your children or to yourself, those thoughts inside your head, that's where the shift really starts when you,
Yeah,
like, you're right, when you just think in your body, how does it feel? And be mindful of what's coming out and what you're hearing inside your head. That's so great. I feel like I have so much to work on now, Marissa. Oh my gosh, I'm so glad we talked.
it, it's funny, and it does catapult you into a different area.
It does.
And again, just like remembering it's okay to have the yucky feelings sometime. It's
Mhm.
okay to not, that everything doesn't feel good, and allowing yourself to sit with that feeling, but we don't want to
Yeah,
stay with that feeling. We want to sit
right.
with it, we want to support it, and then we want to figure out how to regulate it.
Yeah, and let it pass.
Yep.
Yeah. I love that so much. I feel like now I understand, obviously, in ourselves, we heal our money trauma that we have, or just money mindset, money beliefs, and then that trickles down to our children. And I definitely don't want my kids to think about money the way I did most of my life. So
Yeah.
it starts now. It starts today. You know, I can't wait to, I'm going to spot an opportunity to say something and change my language. And that's all it takes is that practice.
It does. And the more you do it, the easier it becomes. And that will become how you look at it and how you address it. And it takes time. And then also remembering, like, we are human, right?
Yeah.
In this body, we're in this time, and we are here to make mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
And that's okay too. We want to correct the mistakes that maybe we have made or that we are going to make, and don't be hard on ourselves, and just addressing those like, oh, you know what? Actually, let's look at it this way instead.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
just kind of pulling back, because you don't want to ever, especially with kids, like, if you say it one way and dad says it a different way,
Mm-hmm.
you also don't want to be like, oh, don't listen to dad. He's got
Yeah.
scared money shit. Like, so what dad is saying is this, so let's look at it this way.
I love that.
And that way you're still that united front. You're still on the same page. We're just
Mm-hmm.
mind reframing so that then the kids really can look at it and be like, okay, so this feeling or this thought could be looked at this way and it feels a lot better.
Yes. Yes, so true. I love that. Just showing a different perspective and seeing how that feels.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yeah.
so great. Random question. What's the going rate right now for like, well, how much do you give your kids a week or a month? Because I'm gonna really start doing this, but
Yeah. So it depends with my boys. Generally, with each of the kids, on a really good week, on a really like they tried, and
Mm,
that goes like their attitudes, their
right.
attitude towards each other, how much I have to ask. And
Mm-hmm.
hey, can you help me pick up some dog stuff in the backyard or
Mm-hmm.
clear your plates? On a really, really high week, especially during summer, because we do go out more,
Yeah.
get maybe $10 in a week.
Awesome.
That's $40 a month
That's
for the kids.
great.
That's a lot of money when you're 7 years old.
Yeah. Yeah, my
Uh,
daughter would be happy with that.
yeah, and it allows them, because also like when they like Father's Day,
Mm-hmm.
you know how
Yes.
excited my kids get to be able to buy dad something?
Yeah. That's
Like,
awesome.
you got to go to the store, you got to pick it out, you bought it, you wrapped it, you gave it to him.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so much of a different feeling for them to be able to do it than you being like, okay, let's go to the store and buy your dad this. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, because it's their hard-earned money. They understand the
yeah,
worth in it. They understand that they traded their time for it.
yeah,
And yeah, oh my gosh, that changes everything.
it
S-
really gives them that.
Obviously, yeah, obviously my 3-year-old I'm not gonna give an allowance to yet, but
Yeah.
he definitely needs to learn some better money habits because he thinks,
Yeah.
we just buy everything on Amazon. Every day we get home, he's like, "Is there a package? Is there a package?" It's like raining packages for him. It's so
I
funny.
think my middle son, we really started around 4 of like, there was some bribery happening.
Yeah.
Like, all right, well, if you can do this for so many days or for a
Mm-hmm.
week or 2 weeks, then we can order this one thing off Amazon.
Yes, I do that as well.
So we started with that, and then around 5, and it was, because I have the oldest, I feel like that helped too, because he would say,
Mm-hmm.
"I'd rather getting to earn stuff."
Yeah.
And he was like, "Oh, so what do I need to do?" And he'd like come out of nowhere and be like, "Mom, I picked up all the baby toys and I put them all in the bin." And be like,
That's a
"Cool.
win for me.
Oh
I
my
love
gosh.
that.
Like, here's $2, like that was awesome. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't ask you. I didn't look. You went, you did it like out of 7, and you didn't come at me with a handout. You were just like,
Mm-hmm.
hey, I did this."
That's cool.
It's like, sweet. Like, thank you. I appreciate you. I appreciate the time you spent.
Mm-hmm.
Here's $1. Here's $2. With him, we definitely started like during the school year, they get between like usually like $5 a week. It's not
Yeah.
much. But then like book fairs come around,
Yeah, and
and
those are
I have an
expensive.
agreement that I will buy you 1 to 2 books, depending on the price range of your book.
Yeah,
And you get to take your money. And if you want to buy the stupid
more.
poster or the dumb pen, like, it's not my say, because it's your money. I don't get to
Mm-hmm.
spend it on.
Yeah,
You spend it there. Know that when we go on this adventure, you're not going to get the candy bar that you want to buy or the
exactly.
souvenir. And those are some hard lessons too, when you've got one kid
Mm-hmm.
that's real good and is like, I get to buy this cool souvenir, and you've got the other kid that blew all their money.
Yeah,
It makes you as a parent want to be like, "Oh, it's okay, I'll just get it for you." Like,
but
this
you
is not
can't.
fair. but you have to be like, okay, well, this is why we save money. So we have the money when something like this comes up.
Mhm. Yeah, and
And
then they have to
really,
actually, like, feel and experience that consequence of blowing it all.
and
That
it's rough.
Yeah, I know, 'cause I'm always, like, a softie when it comes to that.
Mhm.
It's funny you say book fair. We're just gonna take a couple more minutes, but I'm sure other people can resonate with this because my older kids, I could never get anything from the book fair. It was always like, I wouldn't even look at it because I knew we couldn't afford it.
Yep.
And my daughter now, she's like, the book fair, and it was just never even a question in my mind before. And now that I can look through the magazine and like go through it with her and pick something, it's
Mhm.
such a difference. It was another thing that I realized like, okay, I'm in such a different place right now. Even those little tiny things, that come up. It's
The
pretty cool.
smallest things, just like, you know, yeah, it's okay. Like, we're on a drive and I want to stop and buy this soda. Like,
Yeah.
it's not a panic anymore. I've been there. I literally have slept under the steering wheel in my car for months on end when I was younger.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that feeling of like, I can't go to that gas station to go to the bathroom because they're going to make me buy something.
Yeah.
Now, do I have enough gas in my car to get across town to go to the one that's going to let me use the bathroom without buying anything?
Mm-hmm.
To now being able to like make the choice of, do we drive for another 30 minutes and get home? Or do we say, okay, we're going to stop and have lunch or dinner here today?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
having the ability to do that now is so different because, like I said, when I had my 10-year-old, we were not, anyway,
Much
I had to
different.
call his dad, like, hey, I have gray hair. Can I buy this $5 box of hair dye?
Mm-hmm.
And now it's like, I see it. If I want it and I really want it, I'm gonna get it. And I don't feel bad and I don't feel guilty. And I know the universe is gonna replenish me with more.
Mm-hmm.
And that's okay. And there's always more, and there's more than enough for all of us.
Yeah. I
And
was
not allowing that guilt to come in that, like, when you change from not having enough to having enough plus,
Mm-hmm.
that guilt creeps in then.
Yeah, I've felt it before.
Yeah. And not allowing it to sit.
Mm-hmm.
Again, just because you have it or I have it doesn't mean that somebody else can't.
Yeah.
And sharing your experiences and supporting the people that are still in those places,
Mm-hmm.
it's going to keep giving you more, and it's going to allow everybody to get where they want to go in life.
Yes. So beautifully said. Something I just will end with is something I've been saying to myself, sort of like an affirmation. And I think it was after I spoke with you at that last event we were at. And it's money flows through me and to me, and there's enough for everyone. And I say that throughout the day when I think about it. And because I've learned that the more it flows through you, you give it out, it comes back in, and it's, this flow. You don't want to hoard your money. You don't want to like be so afraid to spend it or so afraid it's going to run out. You have to like believe that it's coming back and
Yeah.
really like enjoy that process. So, and I feel a difference from saying that to myself daily. I really do.
And just, yeah, you're opening your receiving portals. And
Exactly. Yes.
when, but when you only receive and you don't give, that actually puts a block to your receiving. So
Mhm.
allowing that flow, exactly what you're saying. It is what flows in, flows out, and then more flows in and more flows out. And
That's
just
right.
really feeling into it.
Yes. So how can everyone find you if they want to work with you? Are you taking clients
We
or
are
what's
taking clients. Yep. We really right now I am revamping our kind of mindset program, which is all like a pre-recorded program. I'm revamping it and adding some more to it. We'll
cool?
be re-releasing that, but we're on Instagram, we're on Facebook, we got the website up. Always happy to talk and take on, and really Laurel and I kind of work together. You have the option to choose your coach or kind of work with us simultaneously at different times.
Mhm.
And we come, she's definitely a little bit more of analytical and really amazing with spreadsheets and things like that. And I
Mm-hmm.
definitely incorporate more of that body and mindset work into it.
Yeah,
We create this really beautiful program that is completely customized to each person and really addressing what their needs and wants are. And then what parts do we need to really step into to get you into that prosperity mindset and
that's
bring that money
awesome. I'm signing up.
in.
It's coming. I know I
Yes.
need this financial spirituality abundance in my life.
Yes.
Awesome.
Everybody
Well,
does. Yeah.
I will link all of your handles in the show notes. And yeah, this was such an amazing conversation. I'm so glad we've got to talk about money. I know we have so much more to talk about too, so I can't wait to have you back on.
I'm looking forward to it. It's always great to talk with you.
All right. Bye, everyone.